QMJHL fans, welcome back for another edition of our Facebook Live conversations. Today we have a guest star coming in from Halifax, Markus Vidicek. How's it going?
It's going good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, taking some time in your busy schedule. So obviously these days, Halifax has been doing a lot of winning. So as we can tell, you guys put an end to a game undefeated streak in regulation this week in Drummondville. So I'm guessing times have been good in Halifax, right?
Yeah. Everyone's kind of been rolling. Our team's been doing really well lately. We unfortunately it ended against Drummondville, but all good things do come an end at some point. So if it wasn't going to happen against Drummondville, it was going to happen some other time in the season.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well take a loss in this season and get in the playoffs for sure. Was that something that you guys were discussing internally? Were you paying attention to the streak, or are you guys just going in trying to win every game anyway?
Yeah, we just go in every game trying to win. It wasn't one of those things that you kind of paid attention to up until I think we broke the record for Halifax's franchise. And you kind of just see it on Twitter afterwards or Instagram or whatever it may be, and you're like, oh, like we're at 20 games or so on and so forth.
Nice for sure. So obviously the people in Halifax and the people that follow the QMJHL get to see the name and the number on the back of your jersey. So one of the questions I like to ask earlier is people obviously know your family name, but what's your nickname in the room? What do the boys call you?
People call me Vidi or Vid. Those are the main two that people go by. It's rare to hear my first name being said in the dressing room.
So, Vidi or Vid?
Yeah, those
Any,
are the two.
any, any had throughout your career?
Pardon?
I said any other wild nicknames that you might have had throughout your career?
Um, no, not really. It's always been Vid or Vidi. They flip flop year to year. Like in midget, I think it was more Vid than Vidi. Um, then when I got to Halifax, it was more Vidi than Vid. So I guess it just depends on the year.
Now, obviously, we've got through the name and got through the nickname, actually. But what about the number in the back? What made you choose that number this
Um,
past 3 years, I
I
guess?
Yeah, well, I think my dad kind of that was his number. And then like from a young age, he kind of put that number on me, and it's kind of just stuck with me. It's kind of not much more meaning to it other than that. I've just had it growing up, and yeah.
It's just superstitious. Are you a superstitious guy?
No, I'm not. I'm not too superstitious. Too superstitious. I follow a routine more or less before a game, but nothing like superstitious. I don't. I try not to believe in those things.
Yeah, you don't want anything throwing you off because if it goes wrong, then it's all up in your head for that game for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we were talking before going live, and you mentioned that you grew up in Laval and then moved to West Island, which is in Montreal. Obviously, being an English kid from Montreal, getting drafted to Halifax, how were your first reactions when you found that you were going to Hali?
Um, bit surprised. I've never been to the Maritimes before going to Halifax, so you don't really know how the city is or it's just new environment. You're young. I was 16, and um, everything's new to you. So um, I was a bit slow at first at getting more comfortable going there, but once I was here for a couple of weeks, and the staff here was great, and guys on the team were great too. It really helped me settle in.
Our midget AAA, which is the U18 now, which is a great organization. I mean, what do you think sort of tells those organizations apart, being in Halifax now and in the way they treat their players and everything? Obviously, they're both well-known organizations, should I say? What do you think sets them apart? Having connection issues.
Can you hear
Markus, are you back with us?
me?
We can hear a few words. I think you're back now. Are you good? Are you still there? All right, we've lost Markus, so we're just going to wait a few minutes to see if he can connect again. Hopefully we can keep this interview going. Sorry for the delays. Markus.
Hi, can you hear
He's
me?
back. There we go. We got you.
Yeah, sorry, there's like a thunderstorm, or not thunderstorm, snowstorm outside. Lights have been flickering. It's a bit of
Connection
a
issues.
mess. Yeah, bit of a mess over here. All
No
good.
worries. No worries. Yeah, so I was just asking basically before you left how you could tell basically playing for LSL, playing in Halifax, how those organizations treat their players so nicely. So I mean, what do you think makes it such a prestigious place to play in Halifax?
Well, first of all, I think the fans, the
Yeah.
fans give it the atmosphere that it's like no other in the league. Um, and then obviously you have our owner, Bobby Smith. He's unbelievable to his players and his organization, his staff, and then we got great coaches here and staff members. So I think just everything kind of goes hand in hand from the fans to the staff to management to the coaches, and it's just it's a trickle effect, and I think that's what makes it so great to play here.
And growing up, I'm guessing you weren't a Mooseheads fan. Were you a fan of a QMJHL team at all? Were you following that league?
I didn't really follow it a ton. I went to a few Blainville games. Just because I lived, that was the closest team to me in playoffs. That was a great atmosphere over there. But that was really the extent of it of me following the Q growing up.
And how'd you get into hockey? I know we were discussing earlier. Your parents are from a Croatian background. They played basketball, and you were playing a little bit of soccer as well. But what got you into hockey at first?
Um, I think my parents just wanted me to not necessarily play, but they put me in skates when I was like 3 years old, and my mom brought me free skating after school every day, and just from there, I just kind of fell in love with the game. It just escalated from learning how to skate to then they put a stick in my hands, and then me playing with a ball and or a puck, and yeah, I kind of just fell in love with it.
Nice, nice. Now I know you were mentioning earlier when you got drafted to Halifax, that was actually your first time out in the Maritimes. Now being a Montreal kid, landing in the Maritimes, what are some of the things you felt like you missed from home in those first few years?
Well, my first few years were COVID, especially the first year heavily. So you didn't get to see any family or any friends at all. The closest thing was FaceTime. So that was tough for me being so young. My first year away from home. I'd
Yeah.
say that was the biggest challenge and difference for me.
What about some of the things you like the most about Hali? What are some of the things that when you're in Montreal in the summer times you miss the most from there?
I think just the atmosphere playing at the Scotiabank Center is like there's no feeling like it. When a goal is scored for us and just the crowd goes crazy. I think that's something that's really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a loud fan base, and we saw that this year at the World Juniors. Did you get to catch any of the action there?
Yeah, I got to go see a couple games. I saw Attilio on our team play against David Moravec on Czechia. He's
Yep.
also plays on our team, so that was a great game to watch. Obviously one person had to be on the losing side of it, but it was an awesome atmosphere.
I was gonna ask, who are you cheering for? You guys just split it down the middle, or?
Yeah, we just split it down the middle. We want both guys to play well.
Awesome. Now, for people that are watching that don't know, your NHL draft year was last year. Unfortunately, you went unclaimed, but this year you get to another shot at it. I was gonna say your name popped up on the list, the NHL Central Scouting list recently, so you're getting listed and you're getting the attention now. Uh, on a personal level, was it a sting going undrafted last year, or is it rewarding? That you're getting attention nowadays. How are you soaking it all in, basically?
It was definitely a sting not hearing your name being called at the draft. I had high hopes. I would potentially be drafted. But it's motivating not now not being drafted. It just gives you extra motivation to do well. And this year, actually, I didn't know that my name was going to be on the list, or that it was even possible to be on the list. I thought it was just first year
Yeah.
eligible players, but it was a nice surprise, and it was a nice reward for my hard work that I've been put in this year so far.
I was gonna ask, was it more rewarding, or is it just proof that, hey, you could play with the best of them, and you're getting all those NHL scouts to look your way? Because obviously you are playing with some guys that are already NHL drafted, and Lheureux and Dumais and all those guys. So you think it's the fact that basically they're coming out to see Catafal, McKinnon, and yourself, now that you guys are making splashes around the league?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's rewarding, but at the same time, it shows that I can play with the best of them.
Yeah.
And Dumais, Lheureux, obviously they're great players. They do a lot of great things for our team, and they're awesome people as well. So I think they're great people to have on your team and have on your side.
Hmm. And obviously, does that, going undrafted last year, did that change your approach going into the summer? Did you work on different things? Did that motivate your training at all?
Um, yes and no. I kind of you always have a game plan going into the summer. Um, Obviously the draft kind of threw things off the rails a bit, not being drafted, but I think you just motivated you to work harder in the summer and just put extra time and effort in.
And obviously, you just mentioned that you weren't aware you could get your name on the list, so you obviously weren't working towards that goal. So I'm guessing you didn't need any extra motivation or to have a chip on your shoulder coming into this season, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was a surprise for me, a nice surprise. But yeah, I think our goal this year as a team is to win the President's Cup and hopefully, um, you know, the Memorial Cup as well. So I think that's kind of been our goal this year.
Nice, nice. And I believe I read you went to the Arizona rookie camp. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I went to their rookie tournament.
And how was that whole experience? I'm guessing was your sort of your first taste of the NHL life, if you want to put it that way. But how was that for you?
It was incredible. Arizona's such a nice spot. Um, it was a great experience for me. First time being with pros and being a part of their organization, and the way they treat everybody and their professionalism. It was awesome.
Did you have a sort of welcome to the NHL moment? I mean, coming off the plane, or I mean, how was the whole thing?
It was kind of like we were a bunch of prospects there. There were a few guys from the queue like Landry and Cormier who were there as well. So I think that was kind of comforting. But I think like the biggest like welcome to the NHL moment would be just being in the same room with a bunch of NHLers and them being just super nice and genuine towards you.
What about meeting the personnel there? Did they give you any pointers of what they were looking for? Did they meet with you at all, or was it just got on the ice, showed what you got, and then went back home?
Going well when we arrived, it was more of just get on the ice and show me what you got. But at the end of the whole experience, we had exit interviews, and they gave their feedback of what they thought I could improve on and what I did well, and it was a great experience. Hearing what they had to say.
Now online, we've got Brent, who's a big Wildcats fan here, who is asking, who's your favorite NHL hockey team? So growing up, were you a big Habs fan? Who were you cheering on?
Yeah, growing up, I was a Habs fan. Hometown. I had to cheer for them. they weren't the best growing up, but they had Subban when I was a little kid, and that was kind of when Price was really good as well. So I think they were my favorite team for sure.
So obviously you're a forward, so I'm guessing they weren't the guys you were looking up to. Who are you a fan of on that team?
Um, I don't know. There was a few guys. Plekanec was there. I kind of like enjoyed watching him play, but Subban and Price were the big names. Um, they took up they were the characters on the team, so it was so entertaining watching them play.
The classic, the triple low five they had going there for a while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about like professionally wise? Like who would you say like you're trying to emulate or model your game after type of thing?
I think Bergeron. I try and you know emulate his game. He's an awesome player. He's two-way center. He's good in the face-off circle. He's offensive, but can also be good defensively. He's kind of the total package.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I kind of just gravitate towards him.
You watch a lot of hockey at all?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I watch a fair amount of hockey when I can.
What about video? Do you do a lot of video or you're not into that?
I do video, but it's hard to do. You can only do so much during a season. You kind of don't. I kind of don't want to overload on hockey, especially throughout a season.
Yeah. What about aside from hockey? I mean, let's get to know you a little bit. What do you, when you're not in a game night or whatever, what do you spend your weekends doing? Are you a Netflix guy? You going out?
Um, I just think hanging out with the guys. I'm close with a few guys on the team, so I think we spend a lot of time hanging out together. Whether it's just watching TV, watching a movie, doing whatever, we kind of just spend time together is my thing to do.
You have any best buds on the team? Not to name them all out, but I mean,
Pretty close with Furlong and Jumet. Us two, and then Attilio, Brady. We're all pretty close together on the team.
pretty close group, tight knit family.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, you've been in Halley for 3 years now. This is legitimately probably the best team you guys have had in your time there for sure. Thinking of a cup run and all that. What do you think, sets this team apart from the ones you've been on before?
I think just our offensively we're really good this year. We got Lawrence and Doucette at the trade deadline that just makes our offense that much better. And in nets we have Russo and Brady James, to back us up. And I think just everyone's been playing super well for us so far. We got Furlong, why not? We're holding down, the D end for us, and I think everyone's just really confident this year.
What about mentality wise? Did you guys have like beginning of the season meeting where you're like, all right, we're doing this year? Was there like a click, something that clicked at some point, or was it just like, hey man, 20 games in, we really got something cooking here?
Um, I think it's just our confidence. We knew that we can be good, and we have the potential to do really well this year. So I think this year was just about taking next steps from last year. Last year we had a really good team as well. We were in a really strong division. We didn't get the outcome we wanted,
Yeah.
but this year was just about taking that next step forward and trusting the process.
Now, what's the mentality in the locker room when you see your GM goes out and pulls off moves like he did? He got Lawrence, like you said, who got like I think he had over 100 helpers last year. He goes out and gets Doucet, who I think at the time was, right up there with Dumas as one of the league's top scorers. So, what's the mentality in the locker room when the GM goes out and pulls off these big moves? Are you guys, looking around saying, "All right, we got something. We're going for the long run here."
Yeah, exactly. It just pumps us up more to just keep playing really good hockey, and it just boosts our confidence even more knowing that our staff and our GM has the confidence in us to go far this year.
And aside from the confidence, I know that's a word you've brought up a few times in this interview, but I mean, aside from the confidence, what do you think makes the Mooseheads such a hard team to beat or a hard team to play against night in, night out?
I think we play really sound defensively. Um, we we take care of the puck, and I think us just playing the right way gives us a chance to win every night.
And I know at the trade deadline there was a lot of buzz. People were saying, "Oh, maybe Mooseheads should go out and get a goalie." You guys have two terrific goaltenders. You don't need one. You got two back there, but they're a little. I'll put it this way: they're a little underrated, if you want, from the way they show up. But they show up on the highlight reel left and right. Their guys are making acrobatic saves here and there. They're holding down the fort. I mean, what can you say about the two netminders you got back there?
They put in the work every single day. I think a lot of teams, a lot of people do underestimate them.
Yeah.
They are underrated. They don't have the status or let's say the big names like let's say LaPena does or some other goalies do in the league. But I think they've been doing awesome for us so far this year, and I think they're just proving everyone wrong.
And you being there for a few years, you get to practice against them, obviously to a daily basis. Have you seen that progress? I mean, is it getting more frustrating for you to score against them in practice on a daily basis? How's that going down?
Yeah, after like 3 years now,
Yeah.
they know where your favorite spots to shoot are, so it definitely can get annoying at times, but, we kinda know their tendencies too, so, uh,
Yeah.
we can score on them sometimes.
Who's the loudest guy in practice? Who loves to chirp the most?
Um, there's a handful of guys, some guys like Jumer or Lehur will start giving it to Russo or Brady if we score on them, but then they'll give it right back to us if they save our shots, so I think it kinda goes 2 ways.
What about in the locker room? Who's the funny guy who keeps things loose before a big game?
Um, hey, why not's pretty loose. Zach has been really good at keeping the boys loose. Myself, Furlong, Dume, Attilio, we can keep going down the list, but I think everyone's just pretty good at keeping each other loose and making sure not one single person gets too let's say caught up in the moment or too tight.
I was gonna say, I guess it's tough. It's tough not having a good time when you're winning so much.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps.
What about in the locker room again? You guys have a DJ who's handling the music before the game.
This year it kind of flip-flops. Sometimes it's McKinnon, sometimes it's Cataford for us. A handful of times it'll be Why Not. Kind of just depends on the day.
What about yourself? What's your pregame routine? Are you listening to some tunes? You playing the sewer ball game? What are you doing?
Um, I kind of just hang out. I play sewer here and there. Music is whatever the guys have on. But that's really the extent of it. Kind of just making sure I'm in the right headspace is more the goal than anything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You the type of guy who still gets butterflies before going on, or you past that in year three?
Some games I do, but most games I'd say I'm past it. It's just another game.
Well, hopefully you guys make a long run and you get those butterflies back when the playoffs come around.
I think they'll come back during playoffs.
For sure, for sure. Especially in front of that crowd. You said you guys they get so loud that if it's not butterflies, then it's hairs raising in your back.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be one of the two.
There you go. All right, Marcus, that's all the time we had. So I want to thank you again for taking the time for doing this. Obviously, we'll wish you best of luck, whether it's at the NHL draft or if you get to lift any trophy this year. So we're wishing you the best of luck, and thanks again for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a good one, man.
You too. Bye.